Last year we got the RedMagic 10 Pro at $750, which was a blockbuster gaming smartphone with a great chipset, a very good gaming smartphone, liquid cooling system and all that stuff. This phone literally made Jerry rig everything moan with pleasure while looking at how it was designed and how so much it could perform. So this year we got a new look at the RedMagic 10 Air, which is basically a new, somewhat mid-range budget look at the gaming smartphone series. So the RedMagic 10 Air is going for $600, which is a $150 price drop as compared to last year's $750. So in this video I'm going to review the RedMagic 10 Air, mainly looking at those things that they had to cut off from the gaming phone itself to make sure that they can give us that slight price drop. And as you all know, when a phone comes out, it mainly starts, let's say for example, RedMagic 10A starting at $599, but as time goes on, it's obviously going to drop, mainly discounts and other stuff like that as we go into the holidays at the end of the year. So probably this phone is going to end up somewhere around 500 or even 400 if they want to be as generous as possible. So let's get through this review and see what ZTE had to cut off from the RedMagic 10 Pro so that they can make the RedMagic 10 Air, which we're getting at a cheaper price. So I'm going to start off with the design and build quality, mainly because that's the first thing that you're going to look at when you get the phone in the box. So in terms of the design, when you open up the phone really doesn't scream budget version or mid-range version at all. It almost looks the same as the RedMagic 10 Pro we got last year. You're still getting the glass-on-glass sandwich with an aluminum frame, and it even features the same aviation grade metal middle frame as the 10 Pro. It's lighter at 205 grams versus 229 grams and thinner at just 7.9 millimeters. And this is as comparable to the 10 Pro which we got last year. Mainly because this makes it feel slicker in hand and even makes it a better feel phone for the price. Getting pressure sensitive gaming triggers and an IP54 rating, which is rare on a gaming phone. And last year I still remember the 10 Pro didn't really flaunt the IP rating. I think it was mainly because of their cooling system, as I saw on the Jerry rig everything video. The main thing that's missing here is no built-in cooling fan like the 10 Pro. That's a big one for hardcore gaming sessions, mainly because the Air relies entirely on passive cooling, and also there are no transparent design variants, which most of those people who like to really stand out, you're not gonna get that on the 10 Air. But in terms of overall design and build quality, I have to say they really tried to make sure that we are still getting the same value that we also got on the RedMagic 10 Pro. Next up, we're going to move on to the display. And as you all know, RedMagic doesn't play when it comes to display. So you get a 6.8 inch AMOLED panel, 120Hz refresh rate, and a peak brightness of 1600 nits. The resolution is 1116 by 2480, which is a bit lower than the 10 Pro which we got last year, but still you're getting that high refresh rate screen, and also those frames per second are gonna be higher than 30 if I have to interject. The screen is still sharp, still punchy, and honestly, you will barely notice the difference when gaming or watching Netflix. The main thing that you're going to notice on this, you're going to notice it if you're using the phone side by side with the 10 Pro. Other downgrades are going to include the 10 Pro at a 144Hz panel plus a higher peak brightness at 2000 nits, which gives it the edge outdoors or with HDR content, but the bezels here are slightly less thicker than ever. Let's move on to the software. First off, the chipset that's running on this is the Snapdragon 8 Gen 3, which is a very fast chipset, and for hardcore gaming sessions, you're not gonna have problems. Also, it's paired up with UFS 4.0 storage, and you're gonna get either a 12GB or a 16GB of RAM phone. For $600, that's an insane value. You're getting Android 15 out of the box with 3 major Android updates promised, which is actually better than the 10 Pro's weak software support, mainly because the 10 Pro only promised one software update. And I think it's mainly because of this. As you can see, most budget phones have more Android updates, mainly because if you're buying a budget or mid-range device, you're probably planning on using it for a long period of time. Gaming wise, the benchmarks are solid, and total score is around 1.88 million, and reward usage is battery smooth. If you're going to be playing Apex Legends, Genshin Impact, PUBG Mobile, Call of Duty is going to be fine, and you can see that the game is running smoothly as possible. Graphics is on medium. I don't even really know if you can crank it up better than that, but I think it's actually a good phone for the price. And since there's no internal fan on this, heat is going to creep up at some points, but it's not going to throttle dramatically that you might think that you're not going to be able to play games. But frame rates are going to drop at some points, mainly because the internal fans are not on this phone. Now let's talk about the camera quality. In terms of the camera quality, I always say this: camera quality is one of the hardest things to review, mainly because it's subjective, and the things that I say is actually good quality photos might not be good quality photos to you. But I'm just gonna rule out the specs and share some camera samples with you. So first off, you get a 50 megapixel main sensor with OIS and a second 50 megapixel ultra wide. Specs wise, it matches the Pro in the main and the ultra wide setup, but the Pro is a 2 megapixel macro camera, which honestly feels like no one really cares about, mainly because this is a gaming phone and buying it for the camera seems a bit of a stretch. But since it's a budget smartphone, meaning that you're going to be using it for almost everything, I think it's a good catch, mainly because the camera quality is also a bit better. As you can see on the camera samples, just check them through and see if they really look good to you. Both phones also have a 16 megapixel under display selfie camera, which is not great, but it's not terrible at the same time. RedMagic have never been about cameras, as I have said, and still, if you're buying this phone to be using it on your overall usage, I think it's a great phone to buy for $600. Let's look at the battery. Battery life is solid on the 10A. You get a 6000 milliamp hour cell and 80-watt fast charging that hits 100% in just under an hour. Real world usage clocks up at about 13 hours of active screen time, which is very, very good. But it's comparable to the 10 Pro. You're obviously going to feel shocked when you see that the 10 Pro had a 7050 milliamp hour battery plus 100 watts and hitting almost 17 hours of active usage. And if you game a lot, it's probably not going to be noticeable if you're going to be using the RedMagic 10A. So what can we really say about this phone? The RedMagic 10A cuts corners, but it still chooses the right corners. You're losing the built-in fan, a slightly better display, and some battery life, but you are still getting top-tier performance for $150 less. If you're all about maxed out performance, I think the 10 Pro is gonna be for you. But if you're someone who is a gamer on a slight budget for a somewhat mid-range budget device as compared to the 10 Pro, I think the RedMagic 10A is a really good choice in 2025. So tell me what you think about this review in the comments, and please subscribe and like the channel.